everybody, welcome back to the cabin, welcome back to the forest garden. I'm exhausted. Been at this for about 3 weeks now since I started clearing at least 3 weeks. I think it was actually still quite a bit of snow on the ground maybe when I started cutting the trees down. Anyway, it's been a while, and I haven't made, on the other channel, on the main channel, I haven't really put out a video except for the first week that I was clearing the property. So I've just been working hard on getting this thing cleared and all these beds set up. If you do tune into the other channel, I'd have basically 2 weeks of footage then showing everything that I did to get this garden started and get it going. And up to this point, it's been, like I said, been very labor intensive, very challenging. You notice at the beginning of the video, I'm sifting the soil, just digging it out and sifting the leaves and stones especially out of it. And I just had to stop doing that because it was taking way too much time. So what I'll do probably is top the beds up with a fresh layer of sifted topsoil once I get stuff established, get some roots. This is new to me. I've done raised beds in the past, but I've never done a hugelkultur mound, I don't know if there's another term for it. It's basically an earthen mound. You'll see these things actually going back thousands of years, where probably that's what they were used for, is planting. I don't know what else to call it. I don't know if there's another term for this kind of earth mound in English, but essentially it's just a raised bed, really high raised bed that's gets all its nutrients from these rotten logs and rotten material that's put into the bottom of it and layered all the way throughout. So the principle behind it is that all this carbon, all this matter, this organic matter, combination of the older stuff and the new stuff, decomposes and provides nutrients to the plants, but also that it retains moisture. As you know, it's not easy for me to get water for any purpose. I do have the stream and the pond and the dug well and all that kind of stuff, and collecting rainwater, but this garden, because it's at the highest point of the property, it's going to be watered solely by rainwater. Not just what falls from the sky, but what I collect in rain barrels off the 2 buildings that I have right here at the garden, or will. Anyway, labor intensive, like I said, but let's see if it produces. It's kind of weird when you look at the steepness of it, and apparently originally the people who do it properly will build this like 5 to 7 feet high, and then it slowly shrinks down and you keep adding organic material to the top of it, so it stays quite high and it stays quite steep. And I'm not sure, I mean, you can see I kept throwing soil on top and it just kept eroding immediately down. So we have heavy rains coming in tomorrow night, I think it is, and we'll see how much of the soil stays on. I'm going to plant anyway. I'll plant the stuff sort of up higher, and I put in these vertical sticks trying to hold the soil back. So hopefully that works. I have a feeling what's going to happen is I'm going to see a bunch of plants germinating at the bottom of the slopes, and then I'll have to transplant them back up to the top. So very interesting. If this was just a short-term garden, if it was only something temporary, or wasn't staying here, then I probably wouldn't have bothered going through this much effort. I would just do a low bed, especially because it's so difficult to get enough soil. But this will provide, hopefully what I plan on doing is perennial type vegetables or self-seeding vegetables, so that this thing becomes essentially sort of maintenance free almost, producing without much input from me, at least over the years. So it's a long-term bed, long-term plan. The rest of the beds, I think in the middle of the garden, I'll just do lower and then start building them up over time, as well as I get organic material. So it's like falling down the slope just here without rain. What I'm planting, since it's only the second or third week of April, just the cool weather vegetables, because we still have probably a month, maybe even a month and a half before we see our last frost here. So I can't put out tender vegetables like tomatoes and peppers and anything that can get killed or will get killed by the frost. So that's so what it means is that I'm planting now. Just got so many birds around me. It's so nice. Now I got radish, not great for carrots, and start growing and won't be killed off by the frost. The other thing is I have some when I disassembled the garden from the old house, and if you watch those videos where I explain why, you'll know what happened and why. I had chicken coops there as well as that big garden. So I've got all the fencing that I took down from there, and some chicken wire and some other materials, and some what's that called, plexiglass, that anyway, that clear plastic sheet that they use for greenhouses. I've got a couple of sheets of that, and a couple of cold frame tops that I made years ago. It's probably been 8 years, but they've been at the cabin for 2 or 3 years, and I haven't set them up. So I'm going to do that now. I'll get a cold frame, it's called, so that'll protect the vegetables from the frost at night, but also keep them warmer during the day so that they grow a little bit faster. So this is going to be interesting. One thing I did not order with the seeds, and I should have, is some kind of test kit to test the soil, see what it's deficient in. I don't know if I've ever tested soil for my gardens, and I've always had successful gardens, but mainly because I've been able to buy the inputs, and I was able to get compost from my sister and some farmer friends, aged horse manure and stuff, and then I usually had chickens, so I could use the chicken manure for nitrogen. I'm not sure. This stuff is, as I was digging, there's just a pretty shallow layer of soil on top of the mineral soil, or the subsoil underneath. And even though it looks like a forest, creates a lot of organic material and compost with all the leaves that fall every year, it's not that much compared to, say, the prairies. And if you do some research on why the prairie soil was so deep, apparently, I'm not sure what the deepest soils are there, but I know 7 feet is a figure I remember reading about that. And that gets built up because when the bison, the buffalo in the past, would graze these prairie grasses, everything basically below ground dies at the same rate it does from the top. So if you chopped off that grass, then the roots would shorten, they would die off to about that same length roughly. I don't know exactly the percentage, but that's the basic principle. So if you take say a 5-foot prairie grass and eat it down to, say, a foot, then there's probably 4 or 5 feet of roots underground. Again, don't quote me on that, but it's the principle. The same amount that got eaten off the top would die in the bottom parts of the roots. So that root now decomposes, and then also in the fall, when the grasses go dormant, that grass falls to the ground and decomposes. So you get twice as much mass as you would get in a forest like this that composts seasonally. I gotta pull this camera closer. I'm having real issues with my audio, as you've probably noticed. It's been, well, right from the beginning with these cameras. So when my Canon camera was stolen and gear was stolen last July, I think it was, July or August, I bought Sony mirrorless cameras and switched to those because they're much cheaper, first of all, and then it's kind of the way things are going. So they actually are really good cameras. The problem is the audio doesn't seem to be anywhere near as good, and it's really sensitive to moisture. So I've had to, in this week's video on the other channel, put music over a lot of the scenes because the audio is crackling, and it's so annoying, and in some cases so loud you can't even hear what I'm saying. So that's why I'm trying to work it out. I do have a Rode mic on top of the camera with a dead cat, which muffles the wind, but even the wind sound seems to be worse in this camera, and you're probably noticing that now. I'm trying to hide behind this mound, and I'll continue to kind of use barriers as I'm talking with these cameras. And I've got an external thing too, but it just takes so much time to edit when I take an external audio recorder and then put that with this footage. And if I did that, it just would take me a day, 2 days, 3 days just to edit a long video. Anyway, I do apologize for that, so hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, the wind's hitting that camera right on. Man, oh man. Anyway, that's probably all I'm going to do in this video because the wind is picking up. And like I said, if you are interested in what I'm doing here, go to the other channel. I'll just watch the whole build of this garden and stay tuned. I'll update here, but also on the other channel how this garden's doing, how it's growing, and and how successful it is, and what I'm going to need to do to keep modifying it to make it work for me. I have been wearing a lav mic on my collar sometimes, but it's kind of awkward. It's a different part for the camera, and then I have to hook the mic up and put the receiver on my belt, and then it's not convenient to work in. You just get caught on stuff, and then the battery dies and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'll try to do that more often just so you can hear me properly. So I'm going to shut it down for that reason and get back to work. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you back here at the cabin next time. Take care.